Hi guys, thank you so much for being here. If it's your first time, welcome to Bio Rules. I hope you have fun listening to what I have to say. And if you've been here before, then I really appreciate you showing up every single time, and I love you for that. So, with that, I'll quickly get into what I want to talk about today. It's going to be a very quick, short episode. It's going to be very straightforward, and it's around something that I'm still learning, which is to pause, to take a breath, and to take that time out as and when you feel you need it. It is a process. It is something that I have been struggling with, and I'm trying, I'm learning, and I'm very grateful that I have an excellent support system that keeps reinforcing the thought into me. And I thought it's important to sort of address this because the way we've been wired as a society is that one thing's over and you're like, okay, what next? So we're always running. We're always like, I cannot be sitting idle. I cannot be wasting my time. But then what the interesting thing is that your body and mind, it gives you these signs, it gives you these signals from time to time, and it tells you that it needs to, calm down for a bit. So last week I was having one of those days, it was like that for like a couple of days or more, where I was really stressed. I was really anxious, very overwhelmed, and those feelings of what the fuck am I doing with my life were just like, they were there. And it's very normal. I've spoken to a lot of people who keep feeling that from time to time, and whatever the reason, whatever the cause of it is, the it doesn't really matter, because for somebody it could be around relationships, for somebody else it could be around their career, their life, and their decisions, so to speak. So, what I want to actually talk about is more around how we deal with these things and how we train our, like our mind, our body to react to these feelings. And so I just woke up one day, like I think 2 or 3 days back, and my friend was visiting from London, and I told her, babe, I'm gonna cry, so I'm just informing you so that you don't freak out, because by now I've understood that okay, crying helps. It's good to for me to let my emotions out, because yes, I'm gonna feel like that. I cannot really do anything about it. It'll take some time, and I'll get back on my own 2 feet, and just continue working. That's how it goes, and that's how it's been. So there was a lot of positive reinforcement, and she said things to me that I already knew, and I already believed. But then on some days it's really difficult to sort of show up for yourself. And one of the biggest things that came out of that conversation was that I really need to calm down, and everything's okay. I'm doing great, and I need to take a breath. And that's something that was interesting, because although I believe in that philosophy, and I've sort of designed my life to be very easy, very laid back, and very stress free. But then, when I am in those situations where I am stressed, I forget to apply. And that is why I was like, okay, there might be so many other people who know these concepts in theory, but then when it comes to actually applying it, we just crippled of sorts. For the past 12 weeks, I've been putting stuff out, recording, editing, doing everything by myself. And although I do have a bank of content from the time that I started recording in Bali, when I listen to that, I'm just like, okay, no, I cannot put this out, because this is, of course, that's like that's one of the first times that you're trying something, and I was still holding back a lot. I wasn't speaking with this flow. I wasn't really able to articulate my ideas really well, yada yada, whatever. So for whatever reasons, I've chosen not to really publish those episodes. I might change my mind someday and put them out, but for now, as of now, they're very organic. Every week I'm speaking to somebody new, and this week's guest, unfortunately, we had to keep rescheduling for some reason or the other. And at one point, I did know that, okay, I probably won't have a guest for this week. So I'm going to have to do a solo, which is great, like, because in the back of my head, I know that, okay, you don't need anybody to show up for you. You can show up for yourself, and you can still do what you want to do, because honestly, when I started by the rules, there were only going to be monologues, and these conversations happen just by chance, right? So anyway, the point of that was that I knew I had a solution. I knew that, I can always put something out. I also have an episode with my dad, which is, for me, it's a really important special episode, which is why I want to hold for a bit before I put it out there. So when all of that was happening, what was also happening parallelly was that, with my other businesses, I was stressed with things that are going on. And with all of that happening, you start to, sometimes you like, okay, what am I doing? Is everything all right? Am I going to be okay? And those kind of thoughts. And I was just in that zone, I was spiraling, and it happens. It's very normal. There's nothing, I would say, there's nothing wrong with it, essentially, because I have learned how to adapt. I have learned to not let it affect me to a point where I'm not doing the things that I want to do. So I like, okay, this is one of those days and it'll pass. You stay focused, and do what you're going to do and stuff like that. And in all of this, when my friend was observing, so my friend was visiting, and there was a lot of positive reinforcement. I just woke up one day and I told her that, babe, I'm going to cry. So I'm informing you so that you don't freak out. And yeah, for me, it's like a healthy outlet, right? So I did that. And then she said things to me that I already knew, I already believed. But then on some days, you cannot show up for yourself the way you would expect to, and that was what was happening. And then through those conversations that I had with her, something so important came out. I think we're so hard on ourselves time and again, and we know we're doing that, and and so many times we also know that it's counterproductive, but we still do that. And that made me realize that, okay, yeah, this is something that I want to be able to share, because this is my personal experience, and I still haven't mastered it. I still haven't understood how I can fully sort of deal with it, which is why I'm like, okay, this is sort of work in progress, which makes it even more authentic, even more raw. That yes, I know these concepts in theory, and like I've done all my reading and all of that, but then when it comes to practice, we still struggle. And so, like, when coming back to the whole thing with the episode, when I've made this commitment that, okay, yes, every Friday I'm going to put something out, and have these meaningful conversations that help somebody. And yesterday was Thursday, and I was finishing an application which was really important to me. And by the end of it, I was exhausted. Like, my mind had zoned out, and I knew that I did not have the capacity to, record something. And I was listening to the older conversations, and I was like, there's no way in hell that I'm going to put this out. So I called my sister, and she's so fucking wise. She told me that, okay, so I get the discipline of it. I get that you want to be consistent and all of that. But then, is your goal to put stuff out every Friday, or is your goal to actually give out value through your conversations? And that for me was like, you know what, she actually has a point, because if I make something right now, I don't even have the bandwidth to, speak properly, speak, like speak with a clear chain of thoughts. And she was right while she was saying that, right? And that made me realize that we put so much pressure on ourselves that we forget why we started doing things in the first place. And so, had I sort of dwelled in whatever I was feeling, I would have probably recorded something, because yes, of course, I know that I can still deliver if I need to, but that would be so far from whatever message it was that I wanted to convey. Because at some point during the week, I already knew that this is what I want to talk about, that this is what I'm struggling with, and I'm not able to sort of go easy on myself. And I've heard this, like, I've had this feedback so many times from almost every mentor that I've had, that they tell me that they think that my problem is that I go too hard on myself. And on the contrary, I would not believe it. From time to time, I still think that, okay, I don't think that's right. But then when I was discussing this with my friend, then she was like, so basically, what I told my friend was that, like, I get it that you need to go easy on yourself and stuff like that. But then from time to time, I find myself wondering that do I go too easy on myself? And then she said, the fact that you think like that means that you're going hard on yourself. And I was like, whoa. And in that moment, obviously, I did realize the importance of what my friend was trying to tell me and what my sister was trying to tell me yesterday. And I made a decision. I was like, okay, yes, I know that I need to, or fine, there's no need to, though there's nobody who's, putting a gun in my head and saying that, okay, yeah, you didn't put out an episode on Friday. Although, like, honestly, I think it's just my parents who religiously log in every Friday and listen to the episode as soon as it drops out. But yeah, I mean, like, I've still managed to put this out on a Friday, but like, had I been under that pressure that I have to create that and, schedule it on Thursday and just be in that zone, I don't think I would have been able to communicate this exact message. So, yes, as a parting note, I just want to tell you guys that it's very normal to feel overwhelmed. It's very normal to feel like you're being left behind. It's very normal to feel that you need to hurry the fuck up. These feelings will keep coming no matter where you are in life, no matter what you're doing. I don't think any of us have really mastered the skill where we're 100% complacent with where we are, what we're doing. So it's normal to feel these things. But what is not okay is to beat yourself down even more and make yourself sicker in the head and, like sort of feed into that narrative, because it's counterproductive. It's not helping you move forward. On the contrary, depending on how anxious and how stressed you get, you might even face physical symptoms. You might feel sleepless. You might just not be able to function, and that's not something any of us want. That's not something pleasant. So I think what I want to say is that it's okay to take your time. It's okay to go at your own pace. It's definitely okay to take a step back and pause and like, listen to what your body is telling you, listen to what your mind's telling you. If it's telling you that, okay, we cannot do this now, don't push yourself. It's not worth it. You're not going to achieve anything out of it. It's probably going to be like just a simple gratification that, okay, yeah, I did this in the deadline and yada yada. Like, it's superficial, like, it's all external, because internally you're not at peace. And I can say that because on the outside I might look like, I've got it all together, but I do have those days when I feel like I'm crippling, like with anxiety, with stress and all of that. And so yeah, I mean, like, if you're listening to this so far, I know it's not a very long episode, but if you've heard this so far, I'm pretty sure that you resonate with at least a bit of what I've said. So I don't know if anybody's told you this. I don't know if you're telling yourself this enough, but it's important for me to say this to you if you're listening to this, that you're doing great. You've been doing amazing. You've done so many, so many, so many lovely things that you never thought you could have in the first place. And it's just the beginning. You're going to achieve so much more, and everything will happen at its own pace. So relax, calm down, take that time out, and always know that you can speak to somebody and you can tell them how you're feeling, and you can take that break. If you think you need a break, just fucking take it. There's no two ways about it. It's okay. You don't have to guilt yourself into believing that you're not working hard or whatever, whatever. First of all, we weren't born to work. I mean, society is structured in a certain way which you have to work to earn money and whatever else. But like, as human beings, you can survive. You won't die if you don't work. And this episode is more like a personal reminder for me, but I also hope that it helps you if you're listening to this. And thank you so much for listening to this until the end. This is one of the most vulnerable, I would say, most raw conversation or monologues rather that I'll be putting out. I hope you find some value in it, and I really hope that you go easy on yourself and be kinder. I love you a lot. I appreciate you listening to this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.